Hello friends, and welcome to the Developing the Mind course. It's the second part of the Integrated Dharma program, and for the next 16 weeks we're going to be focusing on the notion of meditation in its widest sense, of ways of cultivating attention, ways of developing mental powers of various sorts, ways of generally getting to see more clearly what's actually going on, not only in the world around us, but especially in the world within us. The program is following the standard three-part model of classical Buddhism, Sila, Samadhi, Panya. That is, integrity, meditation, and wisdom. In this part, we're going to start off by looking at what is meditation, and really recognizing that it has to do with learning how to see what's in front of us, phenomena becoming manifest. Things are happening all the time, and we have to learn to see them, to pay attention to them, but also to pay attention in a particular way. The program begins with looking at this notion of meditation, what it means, but then it goes in to look at two fundamentally different kinds, directed and undirected meditation. Sometimes there are specific things to be done, to follow a procedure that will train the mind in a certain direction. Much of Buddhist meditation is like that. And yet there are also forms that really encourage us to be open to whatever is arising, without any agenda, without any plan, to respond intuitively what's happening. We'll be looking at the distinction between those. And then in these first few weeks, we're going to be beginning to look at the Satipatthana Sutta, that is, the discourse on the establishments of mindfulness. Many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with this text, familiar with the practice. What we're going to do is look in detail at what this text says and see how we can bring it into our own practice in our own lives. So we begin with sort of the introductory portion of the text, telling us to sit down in an empty place and gather the mind and bring a certain attitude of intentionality to what we're doing. We're going to be looking at the refrain, which occurs again and again after each verse, encouraging us to see things internally and externally arising and passing away, or with a kind of bare attention. And then we're going to launch into the first of the four foundations of mindfulness, mindfulness of the body, and that one, of course, focuses primarily on the breath. So in these first 4 weeks, we're going to gently ease into this topic of meditation, and then we're going to start looking very carefully at what these texts say and learn how to work with them for ourselves. Some of you are familiar with the Integrated Dharma program from previous modules and courses. Some of you are perhaps new to it. So let me just explain briefly the idea here. Each week for 16 weeks, you're going to be sent an email reminding you to go to a website where each week 2 new texts are going to be downloaded. And each of these texts is relatively short. It's not a lot of work. It's very focused. It's very carefully selected and largely retranslated by myself. Not in any dramatically different way, but just tweaking it a little bit to make it a little bit more agreeable to this kind of presentation. And following an injunction of the Buddha in one of the texts where he says that one should, first of all, hear the teachings, learn the teachings, reflect upon the teachings, investigate the teachings, and practice the teachings according to the teachings. That's what we're going to do. The hearing of the text is being brought to you in written form, but also in audio form each week. The learning will be some commentary that I offer on what each text means and its significance in the sequence, and both in English and in Pali. One of the features of this program is that I present the Pali text side by side with the English. I'll be reading the Pali text for those of you who are interested and explaining why the words, some of the key words, mean what they do. And if you're not interested in that linguistic part, you can skip over it. But then we're also going to focus on investigating the meaning in our own experience. Each one of these texts is an invitation to explore the world around us and explore our own inner life in a certain way. And so we're going to follow that invitation and see what we can learn. about ourselves. And then finally, each text, and that's 2 a week, is going to have a section on practice. How to put this into practice. How to work with this as a meditative tool. How to investigate experientially what the teachings are saying, perhaps more theoretically. So the idea really is simply to recollect the Dharma every week. By having this organized system of study and practice, we're bringing to you each week some little morsels of the Dharma for you to investigate, to learn from, and to use as a sort of guiding outlook for everything that goes on during the week. The idea is not to sit down at your computer or at your desk and study this stuff for long periods of time. The idea is to spend just a little time, perhaps 20 minutes, reading and understanding and reflecting what the texts say, and then put it in the back of your mind. And from time to time during the day, from time to time during the week, when you interact with friends and family, when you're at work, when you are encountering the popular media or the popular culture, just bear in mind, bring to mind what these teachings are saying, and look for the truth of them in your own world, in your own life, and in your own experience. I trust that you'll find it a valuable enterprise. I encourage you to approach it with some ease, with some care, and also to allow yourselves to be creative with this material. I think you'll enjoy it, and please contact me if you have any difficulties getting online or working the interface. I'll be happy to help you. Thanks very much. I'll check in once a month with a video. Meanwhile, I'll see you online. Thank you.